But as a consumer, I suddenly was thrust into, I need care now and I want the best care.
The real thing is, do we understand what the people are going through? Do we understand what is going on in their head? You see, you don't understand what is going on in the people's head by just statistics. You know what is going on in their head when you can be kind enough to listen.
See, when we look at marketing, and some companies get this right, some companies don't, depending on if you're a product or service business. It's what legacy are we leaving with those that we encounter, those we're trying to serve. And legacy for me isn't a plaque we leave on a bench somewhere. It is how we enter and leave people's lives, how we positively or negatively impact them.
Hello, and thank you for checking out this video. I'm Obehi Ewanfoh, the host of the Business Storytelling audio series event. The event is held on LinkedIn every 2 weeks, where we talk about different ways we can leverage the power of storytelling in our business and professional life. If this is your first time of hearing about this event, I encourage you to join us in the next one. I help entrepreneurs and professionals to own their story so they can attract the right audience and drive success. I'm the author of the Storytelling Mastery, a 5-part book series that takes you by the hands through the ABC of storytelling. If you find that interesting, you can claim the first chapter for free at aclasses.org/free chapter. Now back to today's conversation. All right, today is a great day again where we are talking about Business Storytelling Series. And Business Storytelling Series is an event that we organize on LinkedIn every 2 weeks. Of course, it's a time for us to explore how to leverage the power of storytelling in our business and in every area we are looking to be able to build our influence, stand out in the competition. Because when you have your story, when you are leveraging the impact of your story, you automatically separate yourself from the crowd. You are not competing with anybody because you know who you represent, you know who you are, you know why you are doing what you are doing. And this automatically sets you apart from the competition where you are trying to replicate what every other person is doing. So it's fundamentally important that we know how to use the power of storytelling in what we are doing. But being able to use storytelling requires that we learn how to build emotional connection with our audience, because when you are telling story or when you are using storytelling in your business, you are essentially looking for a way to stop your listener or your audience, whatever they are doing, and tell them, hey, pay attention to this one. This is very important because it is valuable for you. And the best way to do that usually is when you can connect to them at an emotional level, because as animals as we have, or based on our evolution, you see that we don't reason in data. Data in the sense of we are not reasoning only in statistics, in the 10% or 20%. We usually base our action on the basis of emotion. In that, how do we feel about it? The feeling is the most important part of our rationality. Of course, after we have made our decision, now whether you are talking of buying or talking of maybe you want to take a particular decision that lead you to exchanging a value with another person, you do that on the basis of feeling, but then you go ahead and rationalize it, thinking that, okay, this is actually the right decision based on this, based on that. But you actually justify your decision that you have already taken. In most of the cases, this decision is actually taken on the level of emotion, or the level of how you feel, in the level of the feeling. You see, there is something that they usually call the gut feeling. How do you feel inside of you? That supersedes any type of statistic that we might put out there. Because if it is only the statistic that we are just shooting out there all the time, it might pretty much bore people at the point. So when we want people to buy into what we are doing, it is important that we engage them at the level of emotion, because emotions supersede every other data that we might put out there. There is a lot of explanation that can actually be done on why we are making our decision on the basis of emotion and then going around to justify it, justify our decision that we have made because we want to find reason, because we don't want to sound stupid. So it is important that we understand that there is a lot of things that is going on within the level of emotion, which is why we must engage people of the emotion. Then, of course, we can then bring in data. All those are important. And that is, of course, what we are going to be covering in today's episode of Business Storytelling. All right, my friend, Mr. Izu, thank you so much for joining us. And I also see Reverend Gloria Tino. I'm so happy that you are here. You see, what I come to understand is that when we say we are going to show up, we show up. Whether it is one person or 50 people, we are showing up. We are not showing up just for the people that are going to come. We are showing up also for ourselves. So I think this is an important part of the entire engagement that we are having with the universe and with the people that we are serving. I think this is important for us. So like I was saying before, it is important that we understand the importance of emotion in what we are doing. But how do we really stir up emotion? Because emotion now, we have to do with whether is it even positive? Is it negative? Because now we are talking of, is the person happy? Is he sad? Is he angry? Is he smiling? How do we trigger all of this in the human being? Because when it comes to emotion, one thing I've understood about it, because I remember one time I was asking, when somebody cry, in what language does the person cry? Or maybe when somebody laugh, in what language does the person laugh? I was saying that in reference to how powerful our emotion are. There are things that we are not really able to explain within the regular linguistics, in the sense that this behavior that we are into go deeper than our language. It go deeper than what we can say in our words. Like if you see somebody crying, you don't really need that person to explain to you in English or in German or in Yoruba or in Hausa or in Igbo to understand that that person is crying. You know that the person is crying. Because when you hear somebody crying, you don't need to also try to think very hard to understand what usually makes people cry. Because you have cried at least one time in your life, maybe. For most people, they cry quite a lot, no? So it means now you understand their feeling, because you understand what the person is feeling. So whether it is a good feeling or bad feeling, what is essentially happening is that you are triggering this emotion in the people. Because when they are in that level of feeling, everything becomes easier for you in able to be able to connect. Now, I remember, for example, there was a time I did a bit of insurance sales here in Italy. They had what they make us to do. It's called small talk. In that when you are meeting somebody for the first time, you want to engage in sales, the person naturally will set up a barrier. This is very normal in the business world. Yeah, of course. Most people in businesses understand that. When you tell somebody, I'm going to give you this thing, then you're going to give me money. For some people, they know that the money that they are giving to you is money that they could have used for other things, like maybe buying food or buy fuel for their car, or maybe spending on other things that are going to be pleasurable for them. Now you are telling them, give me that money and I will give you something of value to you. Okay, when you come to maybe, come and spend money to buy a car, to buy a house, to buy a television, to buy a telephone that you are going to be using, at that point, it still makes a lot of sense, even though it can still be difficult to understand that. But what if when it comes to maybe buy insurance now, where you are telling somebody invest in something, but in this thing that you are invested in, you are not going to benefit from it. And you think that is going to be difficult to say to a person if what you are saying is just going to be statistics. Instead, what you do, or what people really do in this area, is that you connect to the people at an emotional level. Like, for example, let's say maybe, for example, you are talking to the man in the house, who is the breadwinner, is the only person that is bringing money to the house. Maybe this house have 3 children and a wife, and the man, of course, who is every day going to wherever to look for money to provide for the family. Of course, you are a man, you must love your family. There is no two ways about that. Now, the question now is that the person who is going to sell you on insurance is going to help you understand that, you see, this world is not run by you. It's possible that something could happen to you. When that thing happened to you, that maybe you are no longer alive, you are no longer here. Some people, for example, in the first 6 months that you are gone, what is going to happen to your family? This is a woman that you love. She's not working. You know that she's not working. These are your 3 children. You know that you love them and they love you. You know that. You know that every survivor of them depends on you. You know that. You know that very well. When you help an individual to understand the complexity of this life, of course, this man knows that what you are saying is true. You make it also feel what the family is going to feel in his absence, so that even though he is not going to physically benefit from the investment that he's going to embark on, of course, he loves the family. Why not? He will invest on him. But he's investing on that insurance because he is feeling in the gut. He's feeling in inside of him. So this is why a lot of salespeople, or like we were doing at the time, we're going to house to knock. Okay, let's talk about you a little bit. But where are you coming from? What do you love? And all of those gist. You are doing it because you want to place the person that you are talking to at the same level with you. When it is at the same level with you, you begin to talk about, I don't know, maybe the person likes music, you are talking also about music. What you are essentially doing, you are breaking down the barrier, you are building the connection. When you do that, it becomes easier for you to sell him or her, or say, like the example that I'm giving now, in insurance. Because he's not buying a car that he's going to use tomorrow. When he finishes, he's going to use to see his friend and he's enjoying it. It's not like he's paying for an ice cream that he's going to enjoy. It's going to be beautiful. This is a nice ice cream. Or maybe he's going to buy a television or a computer that he's going to be enjoying. You are telling him literally, hey, the hard-earned money that you have got, put it somewhere. But you are not going to benefit from it. Other people are going to benefit from me. And worst of all, the people are going to benefit from it when you are dead. That is the story. But you don't want to put it like that, no? You look for a way to paint it for the person so that he understands what is going to happen if he doesn't take that decision. He's taking that decision not at a rational level, but at an emotional level, because you make him feel what his wife is going to feel like 6 months when he's dead. Like maybe 1 year, what is going to happen to his children? Because they are his children. Except you are a bad person, you must feel that your children are going to be helpless. Right now, you can change that by making a little contribution towards their life.
Of course, I love your energy, Obehi. Of course, storytelling is all about eliciting that emotion in people that will talk to, right? And you tell stories to engage beyond a description, like you said, and unless we appeal to people on an emotional level, why would they trust us? Why would they feel anything? So unless people feel something, they don't buy. That's why we use storytelling, right? So that's emotional. Emotional response is what we really want. And the question, I guess, the question that we have to answer for ourselves is, which emotion do we want to elicit today? Which one's going to help our business? Which one's going to help us to achieve our goal? Some companies go for, they go for annoying, upsetting the customer because of, maybe it's a sense of lack, a sense of what they haven't got because they're not using our products, our services. Other customers will aim to make customers jealous because other people are doing, you're not. Other people have, you don't. And some people also go straight for, like Apple. We're the best at something. You must want what we do because we are who we are, right? So if you want to feel this way, then buy our products. Everyone does this. You see, Obehi, the big businesses do this every day. Many of us just don't understand how to use it in our business because we think we're too small. We haven't really thought what we're doing. We haven't really thought the stories we're telling. The whole point of this event, of this room, of Obehi's existence, is to preach this storytelling message to everyone. More than that, it's to give us the skills to tell those stories. That way we can get the benefits of storytelling for our business too. You want to carry on talking over here? Let me welcome Natalie. Let me welcome Esther Comfort as well. Welcome, my friends. Glad you're here.
Want to get somebody to reflect, what do you usually tell them? Say maybe, for example, you are an investigative police officer. You want to investigate a case. And this case, maybe the person that is committed the crime or who is suspected of committing the crime is a hardened criminal, and you want to get into the mind of this individual. Okay, let's not use that. Let's say a psychologist. You want to help an individual, but you want to get into the root of what is disturbing him or her. You see, the best instrument that is known to man that you are going to use is not shooting somebody on the foot and say, hey, tell me now, life or death. It's called story. You see, you engage in an emotional type of story to the point that the person almost get naked in front of you in telling you the secret that he or she is keeping inside. You see, without doing that, you cannot help him or her really in the real sense of it, because you cannot prescribe something to somebody without knowing what is actually the problem. And to know what the problem is, the person needs to speak up. You need to speak, like literally speak up. But somebody needs to get you to speak up by getting you involved in some form of emotional engagement, helping you to tell story, triggering you. I think that is the right word there. You need to trigger somebody so that the person then open up and start to talk. Journalists do this. A lot of investigative police officers do this also. It's baked into the program. A lot of religious leaders do this also. That they help you make the confession. After you have made the confession, every other thing become easy. But you see, that thing you have said then become a lever for them. Because they are going to use that, okay, they are going to use that either for good or for bad, depending on the intention. If maybe, for example, you are meeting a psychologist who you are asking to help you, and for this reason, you tell this story because you reveal the thing that is hidden inside of you, that individual can help you. But this thing can work both ways too. If it's a bad person, you can also use it against you, because now that you know the key, which is a secret to your heart, it can be used against you. But what is important here actually is that it works. When we are at the level of emotion, we are almost naked. We are connected. We become one-on-one. If we know how to do that very well, then we can build up a lot of influence around the people that we are engaging with or we want to influence, because we help them to trust us. Because without the trust, we cannot get to the emotion. That is important too. If it is just the question of statistics, we remain on the statistics, very cerebral. But if it becomes the question of emotion, where we sometimes cry, we don't cry just by statistics, we cry because something touched us. Now, I was interviewing a US historian. She's a lecturer in the university. I was interviewing her, and we were talking about African history. You know, there are some part of African history that really get you as an African. That are part of our history when you are talking about, it really gets you. This lady almost want to cry. I could see it. This is what I said to her. I said, sister, don't worry. If you have to cry, cry. Don't worry. I will cry with you. This is a safe place. You see, I couldn't do that by just throwing her some statistics. I couldn't do that by threatening her. I couldn't do that by any other way, but by connecting at the level of emotion. When we are emotional, we are not really rational, which is another reason why they say, if you are, for example, you are a negotiator maybe an international negotiator or even inter-group negotiator, it is said that when you are highly emotional, don't take the decision at that moment. Because the decision you take, more than 80% is going to be wrong. Because you are not basing it on the fact that you really know, you are basing it on your emotion. Okay, but we are telling you now that when you want to engage your audience, engage them at the level of emotion. You can see now that it's already having many dimensions to it. So it is important. Emotional connection, if we are able to leverage it in business, it works. It works almost all the time because we are able to bypass the rationality. We're able to bypass the wall that usually is set up so that we can move to the next level. So we have Izu and Idachaba. Hannah, thank you for being here. Let's start with Hannah. Hannah, what is your take on the conversation of the day? How to build emotional connection with your business storytelling? Take it off.
Ooh, thank you so much, Mr. Obehi. Hello, everyone. This is Hannah Hidachiba speaking. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's also a pleasure to be amongst such wonderful people up here on stage. Mr. Izuhai, Mr. Eni, hello. Mr. Obehi, it's always a pleasure to be here in your rooms. Thank you for the consistency. Thank you for, consistently showing up and having these conversations. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of this. So if you're just meeting me for the first time, I am Hannah Idachaba. I'm a brand storyteller. So what that means really is that I work with personal brands, corporate brands, and at the heart of it all is storytelling. And so conversations like this really align with what I do on a daily basis, like the conversations that I'm having, whether it's with clients, with peers, with friends, is the conversation of storytelling and how powerful it is in business, in building a personal brand, in trying to increase engagement, which is tying into today's conversation. How to build emotional engagement with your business stories. So thank you so much, Mr. Bay, for that intro. I really enjoyed it because you were so on point when you were speaking about the power of, just the emotional side of business and how powerful that is. Apologies, I had a call. And how powerful that is in, strengthening not just relationships with clients, but just strengthening businesses, and how with great power comes great responsibility. I just really loved how you introduced it. But you're so right about how powerful, the emotional part of business is, really, even as humans. I feel like you said our emotional part sometimes can push us and pull us in different directions. However, it's now looking at how to channel that emotional side that we all have in common as human beings, first of all, and how to use that to increase engagement. With that said, I wanted to first talk about the sort of array of emotions that we as human beings have. Right? There's the joy, there's sadness, there is anxiety, there's fear, there's so many emotions that we can go through. Some people go through these emotions almost on a daily basis, right? Like there's always something going on that would bring joy, that would spark joy or cause anger. The point is, we all can relate when it comes to the level of emotions. However, what I see happen a lot of the times here on LinkedIn is a concentration on fear as an emotion. And don't get me wrong, fear is also a really powerful part of, emotional marketing or emotional content creation or just emotional engagement, to drive emotional engagement and all of those stuff. However, I don't quite agree that fear should be the only thing, being focused on a lot of the times. And this is what I see many LinkedIn creators do, is that they really hinge on the fear emotion, right? So when they're selling you a course or they're giving you an offer or they're telling you about, why you should work with them, there's usually the fear element. Like, if you don't do this in the next couple of days, this will happen. Like I said, it's powerful in its right. However, why not? Which is a question that I would pose, whether it's a question or just a statement, right? Why not also focus on the other emotions? Because they are just as powerful as fear is. Who says that you cannot get people to get involved in your service and in your product, or to get involved in you as a person if you express joy? Right? Who says that you cannot get the same reaction of fear when you express excitement, right? Like I said, what I found is that concentration on fear all the time. Whereas if you really are able to fine tune what communication materials you're using in your business, you can also involve those other sides of the emotions. Like I said, the joy part, the fear part, even. So if you're just concentrating on the joy bits, you can do, okay, for a change, the fear part. And this is not just instilling fear, it's saying, listen, I know that we all have fears. Here's my fear, right? And I know that this might be your fear, and this is how I can come in, and this is how I can help. This leads me to the point of understanding where it pinches your customers, which is a really big part of emotional engagement. Because how can you fine tune the way that you write, the way that you communicate in ways that your target market would understand if you don't first know where it pinches them, if you don't first know what their pain points are? I was dreading the word pain points because it really highlights pain, which I was trying to shy away from. But I mean, it's the accepted term in marketing and branding, so we have no choice but to use that for better understanding. But my point is, really, we can go into the element of emotions and how all of them, sort of can come together. So speaking about understanding the pain points of your customers, where does it hurt them? Where does it pinch them? And how can I speak to those areas? So like I said, instead of just focusing on fear, what if your customers are really just going through anxiety of the future, of what to expect, of the not knowing, right? Which is also a common experience as humans. Why not speak to that? Why not speak to, the real issues that they're going through, instead of an assumption that everyone would make a move from fear? Some people, some customers would not buy just because they're scared. Yes, thank you for the information. You're telling me that in the next couple of months, writers will go extinct. Okay, thanks. Good. Thank you for that information. But does that mean that I would want to buy your AI course? Right? Does that mean that I want to register and be a part of the community that you're building?
Thank you. Okay, I think Hannah have disappeared from there. That is a technical problem. I understand that. So Hannah was really raising an important point there, relating particularly to the use of so-called FOMO, where a lot of marketers uses this fear of losing out all the time. Anyway, when Hannah come, I do have a curiosity that I'm going to ask her. So I'll just wait until she returns, because I understand that this is just a technical issue that she can easily fix just now. All right, Nancy, thank you so much for joining us. I believe you have something to say relating to the conversation of the day, how to build emotional engagement with your business storytelling. Please go ahead and share with us.
Yes, good morning from Denver, Colorado, USA. It's 7:35 a.m. Wherever you are, I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon. I am going to speak about healthcare because I've been thrust into it with a health crisis, really. I have a mass on my pancreas. It showed up out of the blue. No symptoms. Pancreatic stuff is pretty tough because it's silent. And I think we've all been touched by it in some way. I'm strong. It's too big to be operated on. Anyway, my point here is I have dealt with many healthcare organizations in my journey over the last 3 weeks. This was, by the way, discovered with a routine blood test, which they also drew liver enzymes. And so I encourage anybody every 5 years or so, get a routine blood test as a part of a wellness. And make sure they include liver enzymes, because this is where it showed up. Otherwise, it wouldn't have. And this bugger has been inside me for a long, long time. And for some reason, he decided to awake and is interfering with my ability to eat and process food. So we're going to attack it. But as a consumer, I suddenly was thrust into, I need care now, and I want the best care. And American healthcare system is under crisis. My daughter's a surgeon. She just went through medical school. Medical schools are not accepting people in any great amounts here in the U.S. The number of medical students now is the same as it's been a million years ago. So our healthcare system is strained. We do have paraprofessionals, your physicians, assistants, and nurse practitioners who can step in, but you still look at your doctors for the orders to be made. Well, some of them can write orders, but nevertheless, I was at a point where I was getting nowhere with one healthcare system here in Denver. I picked up without even any suitcase and flew to Houston, and I got care at MD Anderson. I was inpatient for a week last week, and we got down to the bottom of it. And I had the best surgeons, best oncologists, best healthcare workers, and there was a servant spirit there. I'm telling you, every time somebody came and poked me in the arm with another blood test, there was a smile. There was a, you can do this, you're strong. There was massage therapy. There was acupuncturists that came to my room. It's like, this is a spa. But the business stories along the way, we could be moribund, if that's the word. We could be really depressed and talking about healthcare journeys as healthcare professionals, if you're in that role, or you could really tout the successes of your organization and the stories of somebody who's being told she's as sick as she is, and she's not. All right, she's not. So you tell stories of resilience and strength and how the spiritual aspects as well as the physical aspects will bring you through. Listen to the experts, listen to those who can provide holistic care as well as pharmaceutical care, and off we go. So I don't want pity. I don't want to build emotional engagement by tugging on heartstrings here. But what I'm doing is saying that businesses like big medical centers, the commercials that we have on TV here in the US are all about success stories. And, you see yourself in these cancer patients and say, I could do it. Look at her. She's riding a bike. She's not in bed. They're not showing those stories. And I'm sure at some point somebody will be, well, we'll all be there someday with our loved ones around us. But we have to stay positive and we have to stay engaged in the stories that inspire us. I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Make a lot of sense, Nancy. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. We really do. Yeah, that is what it's all about. The connection. And when we talk about the emotion or the emotional engagement, it's because we want to be at the same level with the people. We want to, because the story that we tell is not going to resonate with everybody. That is why, of course, looking at business, for example, we need to pinpoint who our audience is. Who are we speaking to? By the time we know who we are speaking to, when using emotion, it means we are going to the level of the people, to their feeling, what is going on in their mind, what makes sense to them. Because they are taking their decision based on that. Not necessarily based on the fancy things around, based on the beautiful dress we put on. Those might help, but those are not the real thing. The real thing is, do we understand what the people are going through? Do we understand what is going on in their head? You see, you don't understand what is going on in the people's head by just statistics. You know what is going on in their head when you can be kind enough to listen. You see, I use the word kind enough because I'm really intentional about that. We need to be kind to the people that we are serving, to ask the question and listen. Let's listen to them. Because if we can pay attention to them and listen to them, then we can build this one-on-one emotional connection and therefore engagement. Because if there is no connection, they are not going to engage, to be really very frank. Because storytelling helps us to do that first one, which is to connect. When we connect now, if you are saying makes sense to them, then they can engage with you. But they first of all need to understand that you are here for them. You are here for their interest because you understand what is going on in their life. So yes, I like Nancy, like you were saying, there are two industries that I think being able to listen to people is very important. I know it's important in every other area. in tourism and in health, it is sacrosanct that we really come to the level of the people that we are talking to, like really hold their hands. Why health and why in the tourism industry? Because in the tourism industry, okay, maybe I'm using tourism industry because I have more than 10 years experience in the tourism industry. Because when people are coming in, they are complete stranger. They don't know you. You are going to be the one to direct them, to guide them to what is going to happen to them, because at the point they are going to close their eyes and lie in the bed that you provide for them. If this is a hotel, for example, or maybe you are going to guide them to tell them this is the hotel you should book. So you need to understand these people. You need to care about them, because if you make mistake, it's going to be bad for them. The same is for hospital too. You tell your story to a stranger who eventually become a trusted ally at the point. Because the moment you are getting to the hospital for the first time, the person you are meeting is a stranger. But by the time you are leaving, the hope is that he's not a stranger anymore, because he knows your story, even though you might not know his or her story. But you tell him or her your story so she or he can help you. But if you don't tell them your story, you're going to go home with a problem. So it is important that whether in the tourism industry, in hospital, like I just said, or in many other areas where we are engaging with the human being, that we build up emotion. Emotion is a powerful connector. When we connect at that level, then we can reveal anything that is important for us to execute based on where we want to go. I think that is important. And
Oh, yes.
yeah, please say something more if you have to.
If I have to. Oh, you have no idea. Annie, Annie knows. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did you want to finish that thought?
No. I'm done. We are here for you, the people that are listening. Yeah, go on.
Gotcha. Every person who came in my room, it's interesting because I don't like talking about myself so much as I like to know who are you. And so, the medical assistant who comes in to check my vitals in the middle of the night, I got to find out, what's your family like? Are you from Houston? And we all got to be such great friends because through the shifts, being there 7 days in patients, I saw people coming and going on vacation, shifts changing, and we became a real team. I mean, I'm stuck there in the room 24/7. But I have to say, when I did take my IV and go totter downstairs, there was on the second floor this Starbucks, and it was called the Garden Room. Talk about marketing. First of all, you walk through their endowment or their charitable giving room, and you see not just the people who have given money, but the people who started MD Anderson in Houston. This is a huge campus, and such love and dedication, and this hall of fame of patients, caregivers, and contributors. So well done. It gave you such hope. So talk about a marketing, talk about building emotional engagement. Just going to get my coffee, I forgot it was a hospital. It was gorgeous. I mean, there's a lot of money being pumped into there. And I'll tell you what, when I draw up my trust, they're getting some money. They're getting quite a bit of money because it is important to lift up these kinds of organizations, whether it's the Mayo Clinic or the Shriners or some of the other groups out there who are doing fantastic work, who don't charge people who can't afford it. And this is what healthcare should be. And to have a sterile environment, for instance, in the old days, when we called them old people's homes, when my grandmother was put in an old people's home, in Finnish, my family's all Finnish, so it's called lepokoti. When she went into the lepokoti in Florida, it was pretty sterile. But I guess it fit the bill for then. I'm so glad now you have more retirement centers that are more engaged. They're nicer looking. I mean, it's a quality of life. So that's all. I just want to thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much for that. We enjoy it. We really enjoy it. Just at the back end, I'm asking also the people that are listening, share with me, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts about the conversation? So some people are saying something to the effect of that it's not enough to just tell our story, but we should also listen. After we have asked the right question, we should also listen. You see, we have one mouth and two ears so that we can listen. So I want to thank you, Christiana, for your write-up that we need to listen to people. In fact, that is what we really are supposed to do. When we have our audience in front of us, we need to ask them the question, what do you want? You see, we cannot create the product without asking them and then tell them, hey, buy. We need to let them know that this is about you. Therefore, we need to let them participate even in that. Listen to them. And there we might be able to build that connection. All right, Natalie, it's your turn. Please go ahead and share with us.
Thank you, Obehi, and Annie, and everybody else that's here. It's nice to be here. Hope you're having a good week. The beginning of a week, anyway. I was just, I've noticed the one thing that everybody has in common is that they seek to hold on to hope or to grasp hope when they feel like they have none. So it helps if you genuinely have a product or service that you can market to them in the first place, because it makes it easier if you're using ethical marketing. Whereas if you've got a product or service that is probably just not, it's going to waste their time, people have an inherent sense of being fooled. So, like, generally speaking, obviously there's plenty of people that get fooled, but I guarantee if you was to ask them afterwards, they would like, I should have listened to my gut. My gut was telling me there was something not quite right. So I think from Nancy's share, which thank you, Nancy, and I hope you you get through okay. Like I was told that my prognosis was terrible. my diagnosis wasn't great, and I'm still here. So there's hope for all of us, But yeah, I think the key is hope. You need to be able to offer hope, and you also need to be non-judgmental. Whilst you're listening, you need to keep your face as neutral as possible. If someone does say something that gives you pause, because perhaps you haven't heard it before and it shocked you or something like that. And the best way is to obviously be honest. If you can share something personal about yourself, to interact with them on a human level, so that they see you're not just a sales and marketing strategist, you're not just a writer trying to sell a book. That helps build that bond of trust. And acknowledge if they have negative emotions or circumstances occurring and they happen to mention them to you, acknowledge their pain. But usually in a story there'll be some small positives, so try and focus on those positives, because it's a basic NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, which most people will know here, and CBT strategy, which a lot of marketers and economics professionals tend to use in advertisements. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you. Sorry that took so long.
No, it's not long at all. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you, Natalie. Thank you so much for that. All right, Hannah, now that you are back, I'm going to throw my reflection to you. Then, of course, I move to, okay, Christiana, you are there. We're happy that you are there. Just be a little bit patient, okay? All right, Hannah, you were talking of people using FOMO, the fear in their marketing, sometimes that you don't particularly like that. So my curiosity was, why do you think some marketers, also businesses, use fear as one of the elements to attract or trigger people to react to their communication, to their messages, maybe on LinkedIn or another platform that they might be communicating?
Yeah, I could try. Apologies for the service. Like the service is so terrible here. I don't know what's going on. But to answer your question, there's no doubt that fear works. It works because it's more psychological, right? Tell somebody today, this is what's going to happen, and I am the person to help you from that thing happening. You immediately positioning yourself as help. And that's why it's so effective, because you're not just saying, well, this is what's going to happen to you in the next couple of months. You're saying, well, I can help you so that that doesn't happen, right? So it works. It works, and for it to have worked for this long, a lot of people at the back of their minds say to themselves, well, this is the approach to take. My argument was really around the fact that although fear is effective, there are also other effective emotions that people can use as well. And so putting yourself in one box where it's just the fear tactics can be very limiting, and you can become very predictable when you are doing that a lot in business. And then, like I said, there'll be a point where people will sort of call your bluff, because if you're saying, well, this is what's going to happen to you, and it doesn't happen to them, then how do they believe what you have to say next time? So it's very dicey in the sense that, yes, fear works. However, do not rely on the emotion of fear all the time, because there are other emotions that can spark people to also want to take that step, whether it's to purchase or to send a message to say, I need more information. So there are other things that you can use. So it's just, I think my point is really be careful around the fear emotion. Yes, it works, but really, build your power in a way that you can find that balance. So yeah, I think that's what works. It's more psychological. It's more tell somebody this is what's going to happen, tell them extensively what's going to happen if they don't work with you or purchase something from you, and just watch how that sort of translates to people acting on impulse and making decisions that they usually wouldn't take if they were more settled and had more time to come down to a decision. So it's more of a psychological thing, but I hope I've been able to really speak on not just the power of fear, but how it's really important to be careful how one wields it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Hannah. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, Annie, I don't know if you want to say something to the effect of Christiana. Don't worry, we are coming to you just now. Okay. All right, Annie, what do you say about how to trigger emotion in the people so that they can sort of react to what you're doing and therefore create this emotional bond or connection?
I think to go back to build on Hannah's point and Natalie's point, maybe Nancy's point too, right? Because this one, but in other words, it's probably close to the facts, right? If everyone's saying the same thing, then there's something there. Is what I always say. I think it's lazy. It's lazy marketing to build on fear and a sense of lack. It's just lazy, right? People do it because they haven't. Maybe they haven't learned how to tell stories. Maybe they haven't sat down to think about what can I truly do to engage my target audience. And of course, I mean, Natalie spoke about giving people hope. I think, of course, the tragedy of maybe the limitation of human thinking, of customers, of people, is that we build off what we lack and what we fear, what we don't have, more than the hope factor, the hope things in life, right? But I think, of course, I think it's very easy to flip the emotion. The simple thing is, as Hannah said, I make you scared that you're not going to have what you want, and then I position myself as the hero who's going to give it to you. That's what people do every day, right? Then the question then becomes, how do you do that? And then if you keep doing that the same way every time, people stop listening to you. So you're going out on the street and shouting the same thing day after day. After a while, people go, "Oh, I've heard that before." And as Hannah says, someone will call you a bluff and say, "Okay, I don't trust you enough to spend my money with you." And guess what? I'm still going to survive. I'm going to thrive still, even if I don't fall for for your rubbish. You see, I think big brands over here, they think and they plan their stories. They don't just wake up and throw up an advert on telly, for example. They think, they do focus groups, they do tests, and then they decide which adverts to push out there, which stories to push out there. And I think that we as small businesses must think the same way, right? It just takes sitting down and truly working out, okay, what do I want to convey? So when I say people react to negative emotions over here, the negative emotions come down to fear, of course, greed, envy. These are things that motivate people every day, and psychologists know this, and build on this. Whereas I think it's so simple to go the other way and talk about the things that actually inspire people. The other things that you would know that people tend to work on is this sense of pride, sense of shame, sense of maybe even poverty. This is what marketing is based on. Sadly, I think we can do better. We have to do better. Now, how do you do better, my friends? Obehi said it already. You have to understand your customers, right? You have to understand what their fears are, and the flip side of their fears is the hopes, is a solution that they want. So if we understand the customers, then we can begin to truly design the answers that they want. I mean, Nancy spoke beautifully about how a seemingly mindless organization, the healthcare system. I say mindless in the sense that it's a money making machine, it's a big machine. There's the people behind it are faceless, so to speak, right? Wait, no, where she went, they still found the space to plan that feeling of no, you're not here to die, you know, and you can still enjoy the luxuries of life. In other words, no, they took time to create a different setting, with brands for the simple things in life. Look, the coffee shop. What you create in your village makes people feel a certain way. Clearly, that was Nancy's point, right? That's what that's got to be part of your story. I think it's understanding over here that many different things add to our story. Story is not just the time we'll say, right, let me open my mouth to tell a story. Our story is built into who we are. It's built into what we say. It's built into how we come across. It's built into everything we do every day. Yeah, that's the point, right? So if we're positive people, then we find experiences that align and communicate who we are to our customers. Whereas if we're negative people, then it's very easy to fall into the do as I say or go without or miss out sort of mentality. Let me leave you an example. Maybe it's a fact in a way. So a lot of people think it's what we say and what we say that matters. I might suggest to you it's not really what we say, it's how the other person receives it. It's what they choose to feel that truly matters. This is why people run focus groups. Because then you create a story, run it past a group of people and ask them, what emotion do you feel? Then clever businesses they can measure that with tools. They can measure your heart rate, they can measure how much sweating you're doing and where your eyes are focused and so on and so forth, right? So I'm saying as businesses, we have to create those moments, those stories. Now, Natalie mentioned we must align with our clients' vision, what's important for them. And then part of creating hope, it's not just saying, right, we can make the future better. Then the question is how. And that how is not always with our solution in terms of I make a better pen than the other person, for example. Our solution is here's what we believe in as a business. We believe in sustainability. We believe in fairness. We believe in, the Apple does this every day. We believe in creating the best products. So that way you never have to replace our products. That's creating a hope, right? There's clever ways that we can convey emotions, and we just don't spend the time to think through what we're saying, what we're doing, how we're coming across. Maybe even how we're designing our business. Those who do feel the benefits of storytelling and truly have a cut through to the customers. Those who don't forever run around in circles over here, wondering, what am I doing wrong? I think we have to learn how to tell stories. We have to learn how to be authentically the stories we tell, how to be authentically what our customers need us to be. It's a part of the conversation, my friend. I could waffle on. Say, look, I'll leave you with one last thing. Say, no, I've got a post to do today. So it's for a skincare brand. I say I've been working with this company for the last 6 years. So last weekend, I took myself off to a party across the UK, so across England. 5-hour drive, 5-hour drive back. And when I got there, I'm like, I'm here for only one reason. And of course, it's not a reason why I was there for more than one reason, right? But I said, no, so just give me what I want, I'll be happy. And they're like, okay, what do you want? I'm like, okay. So I bought my friend a gift from your company. My friend's going to receive a gift box of skincare products. All I want is to see her unwrap this box, and I can record it and use it in our marketing. They're like, you always thinking like a marketer. I'm like, yeah, let's get together. The golden opportunity. Of course it is. My point is, again, there's many ways to tell a story, my friends, right? Again, what emotion are people going to get when they see my friend with a smile on her face when she gets a gift box? With a smile on her face when she opens the gift box? With the joy when she takes out the products one by one and says, oh, they're amazing. I think we can all think like this in our storytelling. Whereas I think many of us just lazy. We don't do that. We don't think beforehand over here. I wish we did. Let me stop talking. I could talk all day.
You're so good. You're so good. I appreciate that. You see, what you said and also what Hannah said before, they are highly valuable. In fact, I wanted her to add it to that, and she did beautifully well. I really believe that there can never be too much of positivity out there, particularly if you look at the complexity of the world that we live in today. Tomorrow, we're going to be having a webinar where we're going to be talking about the situation in Nigeria. And for most of us who are sort of conversant of what is happening in Nigeria, there have been a protest going on for some time now because people are fed up of the situation. So I call upon different women in Nigeria, both in the diaspora and also in Africa, to let's talk. So we're having the webinar tomorrow by 2 p.m. Nigeria time. Now, as I was thinking of my presentation, I was saying it is important that we spread the message of hope among the people, irrespective of what we are going to talk about, because we're going to talk about different things. That we also understand the power of story. Because I really do believe that the hardest work for us is not whether we can make a change in the society. The hardest work for us is whether we can believe it. Because if we can believe it, then there is nothing we cannot do. So we need to spread that belief. Talking of belief, imagine the time that the airplane was built. It is not available anywhere. It had never been done before. And this again is another important point when we talk about why you should use story. Because why you should use story is because you are cutting across the norms. You are cutting across the conformity. You are bringing about something new. You see, people are interested in something new. You are bringing something that have never been before to be because you believe it. And if you believe it, if you put an effort behind it, it will come to be. In Nigeria today, in the situation of our country, we need people that can share a lot of positivity for our young people, for our population. Over 220 million people, we are in darkness because we happen to have, I don't want to swear, but we happen to have some people who are not supposed to be the leaders. So we are suffering from it. We are suffering from it very bad. So I really want to just hit on that it is important that we continue to spread the gospel of positivity. We need it. We need it in our marketing. We need it in our communication, in our businesses. People need to see us as agent of hope. In a world that is full of despair, in a world where it is almost like dog eat dog, people need to see us as the difference. Like Annie was saying, you see, when you are using story as an instrument to connect to your audience, you are a different kind of animal in the forest. The people know who you are, what you represent, which is another reason why you must use story. Therefore, it is not about the quick win. It is not about, let me just do it now, let me scare you. Hey, give me. No, cool down. Where you are going is far. You need people that can journey with you, people that can believe you, people that can build with you at the level of emotion. They know where you are going. That is why they are with you. Not those you can just waylay on the road and say, your money or your life. No. If you do that 2 or 3 times, Eddie is saying people will come to detest you later on because you can fool some people sometimes, but Mali said, but you can't fool everybody all the time. You can't fool all the people all the time. Why don't you just do the right thing? The right people will gravitate towards you. Thank you so much for that, both Anna and Annie. I appreciate both of you. All right, Christiana, please take it from me. You know what we are here for. What is your take?
Hi, Obehi. Hi, Annie, Hannah, Teresa, is it Roshan, and the rest of the listening lounge. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It is a pleasure to be here this afternoon, based in the UK. I've just been listening to every conversation. Thank you for allowing me to put my 2 pennies in to this conversation. So earlier on, you read what I'd written, Obehi. But let me begin with what you read, what I'd sent you. So my point of view is this: telling our stories is not enough. We've got to reach out by connecting with, with our clients, with our audience, with those that we want to serve, those that we want to connect with, those that we know need the services and products that we are offering. Okay, that begins with asking the right question, almost like a consultation, because if you put something out and you're not connected with your target audience, what use is that to them? Why would they want to buy from you? Why would they want to even purchase or even remember? What are you leaving with them is my thought this afternoon. Are we listening to really understand and empathize? Or are we listening to read, to reciprocate? Sorry, my son is just decided.
No problem at all. That is the way it is now everywhere. That is a joy.
He wanted kisses.
Lovely, lovely.
As always. So yes, so are we listening to really understand and empathize with our audience, to really get the reason why they're searching for the solution that we are providing? What is their journey? What is their story? How have they gotten to get to this point to begin with? So that takes consultation in itself to truly understand your audience. And what do you want them to take away from you? So Nancy mentioned earlier in her experience, and Nancy, if you're still here, I pray that all is well and that you get the right treatment for you. She spent a week in hospital. And what is really key with that is she remembers how she was made to feel. Despite speaking of negativity within the healthcare, she still remembers how she was made to feel. That's a key thing because that in itself is the legacy of the staff that was around her, that was there for her, that supported her, that treated her. So you see, when we look at marketing, and some companies get this right, some companies don't, depending on if you're a product or service business, it's what legacy are we leaving with those that we encounter, those we're trying to serve. And legacy for me isn't the plaque we leave on, on a bench somewhere. It is how we enter and leave people's lives, how we positively or negatively impact them, because that's what they will remember. So when we're doing marketing, I can speak from my own personal experience and also my experience as a miscarriage and baby loss coach. This area is a very traumatic, sensitive, highly sensitive area to deal with. And therefore, I can't be doing things like FOMO because my audience are already at a point of fear of judgment, fear of not knowing what to do, trauma from losing loved ones or loved one. And therefore, that would not work in my space. So it's really understanding how is it I can better serve my audience? How am I connecting with them? The story I'm bringing to the table, does that story meet them where they are? Is it helpful to them? Or does that induce fear in them? That's the third thing, sorry. And when I think about what I think it was Natalie that spoke about NLP. Yes, NLP is being used in the marketing industry. We do know that, but it's how we use it that really is important. Again, are we using it for the sake of just using something, or are you using it to help your audience not just get a solution, but to connect with our audience and also to have sustainable relationship that we build with our audience? Who are they going to think of first when they are thinking of a solution for their problem? Are they thinking about you, or are they thinking about somebody else? Do you conjure up that thought of, oh my God, Christian or any Obehi was really great, they made me smile, they made me feel a certain way? I can recommend them when the time comes. I can present them as someone or a company that's positive, that really had an impact on me. Okay, so for me, like I said, I cannot come from a place of fear of missing out because of the nature of the work that I do and the nature of the people that I serve. I have to ensure that I'm really properly connecting with my audience. I'm really understanding what their journey has been. I'm really consulting with them and working and including them. The one thing, again, that Nancy mentioned is how she was made to feel, but the inclusivity. So often we don't include. I know Ellie touched on this too, in terms of doing research and ascertaining and having forums and making sure that the people that we serve really get to be part of the solution that we provide for them. I really believe that in order for us to achieve real connections, we need to thoroughly understand our environment, thoroughly understand what again, Hannah mentioned pain points, word I don't personally like to use, but I'll use it for the sake of this conversation, is what are their pain points? Not just the pain points, but what is it that they want to see long term? Not a solution for tomorrow, not a solution for 2 months' time. It's a solution that's going to be a solution for the foreseeable future and going forward and moving on within their lives, that they can perhaps take away and really embody, again, in my own personal business and life. So I think to embody what we've been given, that solution really means a lot, that we can talk to our families about because we've experienced something positive, really with companies and with products and with services. It's really about the legacy that we leave. And I think I mentioned this previously. The legacy isn't what we see on the wall, but rather how people that we encounter, people that we want to work with, and people that we serve, how do we leave them feeling what are they saying when they leave us, when they encounter us? So for me, this is what engaging and connecting with people emotionally from a marketing point of view really means how our customer receive the message that we are giving them, the message that we're putting out really determines whether or not they can put their faith and their hope in us as those who are serving them. Thank you. I yield my mic.
Thank you so much for that, Christiana. That is really highly valuable. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. I really sorry. Israel service is a bit of challenging here. This is a person I could have passed the mic to just now, because I don't know if it is just a Nigeria problem just now. I don't know if that is a general situation. But in any case, Israel, we really miss your voice. Yeah, you can confirm that, right?
Like everyone's complaining of the service. It's just terrible.
Maybe they are trying to use that as a strategy to make sure, because my wife also was complaining about it yesterday, because the guy that are protesting in different parts of the country, they wanted to send their recording outside. Sometimes it's sort of becoming a little challenging. Anyway, I don't want to steal the conversation for that. So I want to thank you so much, Christiana, for your input. That is highly valuable. Thank you so much. In fact, I just sent you a message that perhaps maybe we might need to meet up on the podcast, sort of expand more on what you're sharing here, because this is really, 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 really valuable. I appreciate that. You see, all these are important within the line of what we are doing. Either we really are in for the long term, because if we are in for the long term, there is no need to cut corner. Because if you cut corner, it's like you are desperate. No, you shouldn't be desperate. You should really be in for a really good mission. You need people to journey with you. So there is no need to cut corner. And because cutting corner is not going to last for a long time. We need to build with the people that are going to support us. You see, I was saying before that if we manage to build with the people who support our mission, because that is what we need today. The businesses today, it's not just about selling anymore. It's about building the community, building the people who will support you and who will want you to succeed. If you really truly believe in a brand, you want that brand to succeed, even though their price is slightly higher compared to the competitor, you will still pay for it and get their product. Why? Because you believe in them. You want them to succeed. I think that is the level that we need to be moving towards today, to building people around what we are offering. They like it. When we want to create a product, we tell them we are doing this for you. They want us to do this for them. We are serving them. Then they are helping us to grow. If you give them what they want, they will also help you to move to the next level. Because when you succeed, they succeed. Therefore, it is important that we include them in the mission of where we want to go. That is fundamentally important. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. All right, I think Teresa and Arosha, you came the same time, but we need to give priority to the ladies. It's called Ladies and Gentlemen. Teresa, take it.
Oh, thank you, Obehi. And Erskine, thank you so much for yielding to me. I appreciate it. Annie, thank you for hosting. Nancy, thank you for inviting me. And Roshan, Hannah, it's a pleasure to be up here with you, as well as everyone in the listening audience. And this is exactly it. Building emotional engagement with your business is building emotional engagement with people, because we start our relationship like this with each person. And I do want to start by saying how grateful I am to the LinkedIn community and to all of you that I have met, because it's created in-person relationships. Because as most people know, I'm a sommelier by trade. In terms, I choose wine and pair it with food and create a symphony of a dinner event or a lunch event or a celebration. And engaging emotionally is not only something I do naturally, quite often I say, because people will ask me, how did you come into wine? How did you, how did you come into the career you are? What is it that you like most? And I always say, and I say this with honesty, except it also hopefully elicits a bit of a chuckle. I used to be an accountant. Accounting drove me to drinking, and drinking drove me to doing what I do now. And it's because I'm more social in terms of accounting, and finance is a very enjoyable and a very important career and aspect. It has served me well as a base for my business, because then I'm able to emotionally connect with my guests, with my customers, with my clients, because I have an understanding of not just finance from a home, not just finance from a business, but finance from a global point of view. And we live in a global world now, whereby for myself, I started locally with wine from British Columbia, Canada, which at the time, over 23 years ago, almost no one knew that Canada made wine. And I would have guests coming from around the world, and they would come to our resort, they would come to the table, and they were busy in terms of they were busy people, they were successful, they had chosen to come for their vacation. And I got to see these people, sometimes for the first time, flying a kite with their children, or first time in a long time, sitting with their spouse, sitting with their sister or brother, and taking the time to enjoy a meal and have some wine. And some people didn't drink and don't drink. We have that more often, even. And the first thing that I did actually at the resort was when the families had children, then I would actually do a mocktail pairing. So, because this is about how to build an emotional engagement with your business, I tell not only in work, but in life, I tell a story in order to encapsulate what my part of my business, or how I do it and how I emotionally engage. And so this one story probably sticks out the most, and I appreciate the time on stage here. In creating a mocktail for the children, what it was we would have wine pairings, and we would have a 5-course dinner. So then the 5-course dinner, I would know which wines that I was choosing. The guests could also purchase additional wines or different wines. And so I actually made sure I had glassware that emulated the glassware that I put down for the parents' wines. And I would do it in a way, so if it was sparkling wine or champagne for the first course, I would do a sparkling apple juice. And the next was Pinot Noir. I would do something, a mocktail made with cherries and all of that. And it was just something I did because I engaged with the entire table that way. It's always something that when talking about wine and alcohol, there's people who don't drink, there's people who can't drink. And especially for young children, we want to engage with them and teach them the proper way. We want to teach them that alcohol is something that, yes, adults have an ability to enjoy. It also is something that needs to be taken with care, needs to be enjoyed, and there's a reason. And they're farmers that have created the wine. They're actual farmers that farmed the grapes and all of that, and that leads to food. And so in telling my story of this in itself, engagement, but also what I found has happened is 2 things. My takeaways are that at the end of their dinner, and especially at the end of their trip, I would have children coming up to me and giving me a big hug, and the family would be already booked to come to the resort next year. And they would give me their phone number, their address. They would invite me to come and stay with them. They would send me letters and cards, and I'm so humbled by all that. And even to this day now, some of the children that would come are now adults. Some of them have their own businesses. Some have their own families. And they always speak about that night at the dinner table. And the mom and the dad specifically would say to me, "Thank you for making my child feel seen and heard." And that echoes with what everyone else has said. We need to feel seen and heard authentically, and engaging individually and yet on a whole as a community is not only important, it's impactful, and it's led me to this stage today. Thank you for the time here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You are really into it. We can see that. Thank you for the message. And all the Italian will call it contorno around it, no? That is really beautiful. I love that. All right. Now, I think okay, yeah. Rosha Nisa, please take it off from here. What is your take?
Thank you, Obehi, for the opportunity. Thank you, my brother Eni, for the invitation. And good evening to Teresa, Hannah, Edwards, and all the other wonderful people listening to me. Now, I'll just dwell on about 3 or 4 points on how exactly one ought to build emotional engagement with your business stories. Now, obviously, we all understand the significance of storytelling in order to strengthen our businesses. So, what are the factors that one would actually have to take into consideration when one engages in storytelling? The first is rendering a complete story. Very often, I hear people who begin at one point, take off on a tangent, and then they leave their audience in a muddle, wondering what it was that the person is actually trying to put forth. So, point number 1, ensure that you actually tell them the complete story. That is the beginning, the middle, and the end. What are you actually trying to drive home? What do you want the audience to have as a takeaway from the story that you're actually rendering? So there has to be clarity of thought and clarity of perspective. That's point number 1. Point number 2, ensure that there is authenticity in whatever you're rendering. Very often, people make up stories just to engage in storytelling. They, they actually come up with fanciful stuff. And the moment your audience knows that you are now making things up, they will eventually lose interest, and worse still, you will lose your they will lose reliability. Okay, they will no longer find you reliable, so you will lose the reliability factor. So ensure that the story telling that you are engaged with is actually authentic. It is something which really happened. Point number 3, ensure that the story is relatable in terms of values, in terms of empathy, in terms of problem solving, so on and so forth. Now, very often it so happens that the effective ones engage in stories which actually reflect the core values or the emotions that resonate with the audience. At the end of the day, we don't do business with objects, we do business with people. So it is people relating to people at various levels. So if you are not able to address the individual's need, if you are not able to identify his problem and emerge with a viable solution, then the very purpose itself is lost. So make sure that you are able to relate to your audience at the level at which he needs to be related to. It could be in terms of passion, it could be in terms of empathy, it could be in terms of perseverance, it could also be in terms of innovation. Okay, so make sure that your narrative, this, then you will obviously have the attention of your audience, and then the rest will fall in place. That's my time. Over to you, Eni. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you. That is Nisa. We appreciate that.
I think your lesson is one that we can all learn from. So but Christianity is very, very sensitive to draw an audience of people that we can help. So it's about offering hope. It's very easy for us to sink into the FOMO and the crazy world that people sort of promote themselves. But she's very keen to help and show people that there's a way forward to the issues of souls. With baby loss. I love what she does. Jude welcome, says Zainab's another one who's on sort of a big mission. Again, we have to find ways to describe her mission where she's trying to tackle sexual abuse of children in Africa. Is there a way to make that sound positive? Of course there is. So again, it's about the future. It's about giving our kids a future that they can work with, rather than working on building on trauma that currently exists. I love what you do, Zainab. Zainab has audio, on her audio rooms on Saturday, so do connect with her and do join her for sure. So my friend Coral, the scent queen, she does sell perfume and scents. That's her thing, but she's also the nicest person you're going to meet. Well, if you want to support her, everyone needs a Coral in their lives, I promise you. When you know what she does and how she does what she does, you know why I say that. She's a great person. Naomi, welcome. Of course, I see you. Selassie, always great to have you in our room. My brother Islam. So we've got a room starting on the 13th. We'll talk pure marketing. Islam is a pure marketer. I say that in a good way. He's a strategist. He's an implementer. As a marketing designer, and literally man knows marketing more than anyone else. I always feel humbled when they say, "Any, you know as much as I do." I'm like, no, I don't. You do. I mean that sincerely. So Mr. Keston runs a global construction company. Again, I love the man because he has built his company from scratch into a global international. He's doing, my friends. Man knows what some lost things that we don't know, right? So thank you so much for joining us. Worknesh, always love your shares. Iris, the same. Glad you're here. Mr. Erskine, what's happened to your mic? Oh, okay.
Something happened to his mic. I don't see him anymore.
No, he's in the room. I guess. Okay. When we come to, I can share. Erskine's share. The Tajuddin, welcome as well. So of course, my good friend dentist. We're meeting at 6 o'clock. Dentist. She's a dentist. She's a real dentist, by the way. Of course, she is one of the best dentists I know. I always say she's the only dentist I know that doesn't cause you pain. Now she's here as a dental consultant for everyone around the world. So do turn to her if you've got questions or issues that you want to discuss. She'll definitely give you advice and give you guidance that can help you to resolve the issues wherever you are, right? And of course, she's an author as well. She's truly lovely. I mean that sincerely. You have to get to know my friends. My friends are amazing people. Obehi is definitely one of my friends who's amazing too. So is Hannah. Who knew that Hannah and I sat in audio rooms together right at the beginning 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. We did. So Terence, I see you, of course. Esther Comfort, I'm sure I've mentioned you. Nat, you've spoken beautifully. Nancy, of course, you have too. Let me keep quiet. If you want to share Erskine's share over here, then feel free. As I'll tell you what's happening in the end.
Okay, if you want to say something about him, that is fine. Anyway, you already sent me a message. I think he's not able to. Anyway, continue with the conversation with us listening in the background. Of course, we have already spent our time here. We're actually moving towards the end of it. So with that, I just want to say that this conversation is really, really very important for us, looking at how to build emotional engagement with your business or with your business storytelling. This is you can fault this. Is so fundamental in the entire process of business storytelling. That if you remove emotional connection or emotional engagement in business storytelling, then there is no need for business story to exist. We don't need it if you cannot build emotion with the people, because that is essentially the vital part of why we need it. We need to connect with the people so that we can bypass every other barrier that are out there for us. Otherwise, we'll just simply go there and say, okay, yeah, it's 20%. So think whether you like it or not. So we don't need that. We need to be able to connect with the people, know who they are. You see, Nancy said something very important today when she was talking about her experience in the hospital, which is what I think many of us really should be paying attention to. In that we need to pamper our client. Okay, you see, when you are in business as an entrepreneur, because what we really focus mostly on Aclasses Media is that we are focusing on purpose-driven entrepreneur, which is the type of entrepreneur who have or who want to have a deeper meaning behind what they are doing. And if that is the case, it means now that you have a bigger vision, but the bigger vision is not just for you. It's because you want to serve people. You are serving people. You should care about them. You should pamper them. You should be interested in their story. You should be interested in what is happening to them. Because without the people, you do not exist as a business. That should be very simple. Without the audience that you are serving, who are buying your services and patronizing you and helping you to move to the next level, you are not in business. So that should be understood. And for us to be able to do that, of course, we need to have this emotional connection with the people, dealing with our heart, not just with our head. Because in our head, I think if you look at the diagram, it is where we are thinking, but the mind is where we really want to connect, the heart. When people are speaking, they will literally beat their head on the chest because they are trying to talk about how we feel inside. And I think, who was the one that was saying it? Is it Maya Angelou? That people might forget what you say to them, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And feeling had to do with the emotion. So this is important for us. All right, so I move to Hannah. Hannah, we are come to that point in the story. What will be your final take here? And let the people know how they can benefit from your awesome services.
Oh goodness, thank you so much. I didn't even realize time had gone because the conversations have just been really engaging and interesting. So I want to say thank you to everyone who contributed today, and thank you to Mr. Obehi for this wonderful opportunity. And Mr. Eni, like when you were speaking about like us starting 2 years ago, I was like, wait, 2 years already? Like how time flies. But yeah, it's always a pleasure to be in this event with you, and it's just been amazing working with you. And the good thing is that your legacy, everyone can see, right? Because you are consistently showing up in this event, and just how you've grown so much over the years has just been amazing to see. And yeah, it's just a pleasure being a part of that. So, with that said, I would really want to speak around a big part of what I do is branding. And I always speak about how when we do stuff consistently on a consistent basis, how that becomes how people perceive us. And that also ties into the stories that we tell, whether it's trying to sort of spur that emotional connection, or whether that's to drive sales, whatever that your reason for sharing stories are. You have to be very careful in what stories you choose to share, because that can, to a large extent, become how you are perceived. That is powerful in the sense that if you are making a conscious effort to share specific stories that highlight your strengths or highlight things that you're capable of doing as a business owner, the sky I mean, I think it's a starting point, because I don't want to say it's your limit, because you can go beyond the sky. I also have a workshop this month is for how to communicate as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. I want to do this because in my work with women, in my work with clients, I've realized that the biggest problem is the inability to communicate what you have. It's not what you want to have, but what you already have, whether that's the office, whether that's your personality. There's the gap of people not being able to communicate that, especially the entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. So this training would really work around how best to show up, whether through written content or video content. If you would like to be a part of that, I would send you a link if you send me a DM. I want to say thank you once again, Mr. Behi, Mr. Eni, Mr. Russian. I loved your share, and everyone who has stuck around. We appreciate you, and I thank you. I am Hannah Dachaba, and I'll be signing out.
Thank you so much, Anna. We appreciate you. And of course, all of you that are listening, you hear what Anna said. If you want to work with her, make sure you connect to her. Of course, even when you want to work with her or not, make sure you connect to her. Make sure you connect among us, among yourself. That is why we are also here. You see, if you go to Aclasses Media, we have a lot of publication. And sometimes we specify that it is important for you to take advantage of events like this because it gives you the chance to be able to network with other people that are like-minded. Now, let me say something just quickly there. You see, one thing I really love about LinkedIn Audio Room is that when the event is set up, it is open. If you are interested, join. If you're not interested, nobody's going to hold you by the hand and say, hey, you must be there. If you are there, meaning what we are saying here resonate with you, you are interested. That is why you are here, which is to say, all the people that are in the room now are a cross-section of people who are interested in this conversation. And if you look at that from the point of view of business, it means that if what we are talking about as a topic, how to build emotional engagement with business storytelling is important to you, then it is important to other people that are here. Therefore, if you make the right connection with the people that are here, you are making the right connection because these people are interested in this. That is why we didn't pay anybody to be here. We just said this is what we're going to be talking about today. If they are here, it's a sign that it is relevant to them. And if it is relevant to you too, that is an interception. Because the event actually happened at the intersection, not in a straight line. You are in a straight line. Another person is in a straight line. Now, the intersection here is the story, the topic of the story that we have treated today. If the people are interested, you are interested, then there is a meeting point. So take advantage of that. Connect with people. It doesn't cost anything. So yeah, I really want to single out that it is important that we keep on this conversation and keep connecting among ourselves because this is all we have to do. We signed up for this, that we are going to do that. And we must do this. Thank you so much for being here. But Mr. Eni, please, what is your final take here to conclude the conversation? And of course, let the people know how they can, of course, you cannot forget that.
I think we ended at the right point over here. As I said, that heart of the conversation, and heart of storytelling, heart of business really is loving your customers. I think when you care about them, you tend to speak the language. Now, too many people don't really care for what they do. You'd be amazed that that's the case, right? So I tend to find those who do, those who truly care about and actually want to help their customers, they find a way to communicate their understanding of the customer's problem, the customer's perspective, or the customer's desired solution, the customer's needed solution. Sometimes what the customer think they want and what they really need are different things, right? So but we understand that in business, and that's what which we know we're aim to provide. Those who succeed, they bridge that gap, they bridge that chasm, that divide, and then they get it. And as a result, the customers get them, and they find a way to talk to them. Look, and I say my life's pretty simple, and I say I find people who have bridged that divide, people who do understand storytelling, people who have a story to tell. If you're that person, I want to work with you. I want the world to know who you are. That's why people I work with. I mentioned some of them: Christiana, dentists. I could carry on Islam. I could carry on, right? I'm saying truly, I said I'd love to bring people who have real solutions to the world. So unfortunately, not everyone has solutions that truly matter, but that the customers need. So when I find those people, I will help you tell. I'll help the world to see you for who you are, and we'll tell stories. You are the story. Your brand, your personal brand becomes a story. Your solution becomes a story. We just find interesting ways to get people to understand that you understand them. Again, that's something that was said, written towards the end, empathy. What Roshan said, we must truly understand our customers inside out, feel their pain, literally feel their pain. And then we can begin to think like them, act like them, and then what to say to them almost comes so naturally. My friends, if you want to help to tell your stories through audio rooms, if you want to help to tell your stories through books, let's talk. And so otherwise, I always end our rooms with saying, please take the time to learn how to tell brand stories. Take the time to learn how to communicate the value that you clearly give, right? It's worth looking at Obehi's 5-book series on storytelling. That's why we did this room. I want everyone to truly learn the skills of how to communicate about the brands that I do clients. That book series gives you all the tools you need to prepare your stories. Storytelling is not a thing that we just wake up and do. Many people try and do it that way. It doesn't work. You have to be a lot more intentional the way the big brands are intentional. You have to prepare your stories over here. You have to be ready with the right story for the right person at the right time. That's called genius marketing. Everything else is called spam.
Thank you so much, Annie. Annie is a godfather of LinkedIn audio room. We're going to look for a way to create a banner on that because, of course, there is no contest. There is no contest on that. So, Annie, we celebrate you. Thank you so much for being there. Yes, this is it. When we sign up for something, we show up for it. There is no way that we will not shine. It's only a question of time. So we believe that the power of storytelling is incredibly a tool that we cannot ignore. It is effective. It has always been, and it will continue to be. That is why we continue to encourage people to learn how to use it. You see, a month ago, we brought in 5 scientists, neuroscientists, to come and explain to us the power of neuroscience in storytelling. Because, you see, we are not doing this just as a random. We are doing this intentionally because we believe that there is a deeper understanding about how we function, about the story that we tell function, our different perspective. So even in the time to come, we are organizing with sociology, psychology, different scientists in neuroscience to help the people understand all this information are available on Aclasses Media. Even this room that we are having now, we have 2 sessions, business storytelling and African diaspora storytelling. We are recording it. Each of them is available. You can just come to Aclasses. You will see a page where all the video we have recorded are available for you. All that is left for you is to look at it and take action. We're not just sharing it for you to just so that you don't have anything to do. No. If you don't take action, everything that we have more than 1,500 articles on Aclasses Media. None of them will serve you if you don't take action. So we have done a lot of audio room here, both in the diaspora storytelling and in the business storytelling, like this one. This one is going to be available in a couple of weeks' time because it takes us time to be able to process it and put it out there as a video. If you do not take action, even this room will not serve you. So what we are saying, therefore, is to take action. There are valuable information here, valuable information, people sharing their experiences, helping you understand how they use it in their business. So they cannot do beyond that. Nobody can enter into your mind. It is left for you. What do you want to do with this information now? If you do nothing with it, it's just going to be the same. Nobody's going to lose, only you. Because it is all about you.